We'll wait a few awkward seconds before it kicks in. Okay, there we go. I'd also like to give you a quick overview of what this session is going to look like. So in a moment, I'll have our student leaders here introduce themselves, and they're going to be really helpful resources for y'all tonight during this chat and also like beyond tonight. So please feel free to remember their names and faces and tap into them as resources for you. And then we'll hear from a great campus resource for tonight's topic of getting started with student organizations. They'll give you some helpful tips, information, and then we'll have a Q&A session, like I said, where you'll be able to ask them any and all questions that you might have. You can feel free to submit questions in the chat while the presentation is going, or you can save them for once we hit the open forum. Like I said, this session is also being recorded. We'll be uploading this to our Instagram and to our website, so please feel free to check out those to watch more of these How to College virtual chats. I'd also like to remind everyone that this space is a part of the University of South Florida, and something that we really believe in here are principles of community, especially for tonight, dialogue with respect. So we're going to be sure to really embody that today. Therefore, as you have questions or contribute in the chat, just make sure that they're consistent with the content being shared tonight. In a moment here, I'm going to turn it over to our peer advisor leaders, also known as PALs. But before I do, let me tell you a little bit more about them. So part of New Student Connections, PALs are a team of student leaders that are here to support you throughout your time at USF, and especially your first year at USF while you're getting your footing and transitioning. And they do this by giving you some individualized support, answering questions, helping you set goals, and connecting you to resources on campus. Each week, these virtual chats are hosted by 2 different PALs, so you can get a nice variety of experience with lots of folks here willing to help you and ready to help you. And the PALs that are joining us tonight are right in front of you, Sababa and Haley, so I will turn it over to them. Take it away, all.
Thanks, Rick. So like you said, I'm Sababa, and I'm very excited to be here with you all today. I'm a second-year student majoring in political science, and I'm from Orlando, Florida. And today we're going to be learning more about all things student organizations, including how to find student organizations that interest you on campus, explore everything that BullsConnect has to offer, and learn how to connect with other students who have similar interests as you. So by the end of the session, you all will have a better understanding of how student organization involvement and the opportunity on BullsConnect can enhance your experience here at USF.
That's right, Sababa. I'm Haley. I use she, hers pronouns, and I'm a third-year student majoring in biomedical sciences from Naples, Florida. I don't know about you all, but I'm excited to learn more about getting started with student organizations. We have some folks here with us that are the experts on campus when it comes to this topic, so please allow me to introduce Alex Espaillat, Coordinator for Leadership Development in the Center for Leadership and Civic Engagement. We'll be in great hands learning more from them.
Hi, everyone. My name is Alex Espaillat. I use she, they pronouns, and I'm the Coordinator for Leadership Development in the Center for Leadership and Civic Engagement. I am excited to be here today to share a little bit more about student organizations and how to get more involved with them on our campus. If you could just give me one moment, I'm going to share my screen and we can just get started. Okay, I have to ask the question, can everyone see? Oops, it's flipping ahead of me, excuse me. Can everyone see?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, great. Feel free if you have any questions throughout the presentation to either use the raise hand function or go ahead and turn on your mic. I do not mind. And the PALs and Rick can go ahead and help me out with whatever questions come my way. But yep, like I said, we are going to be chatting about how to tap into student organizations on campus. Now, I'd be remiss if I didn't go ahead and introduce again the Center for Leadership and Civic Engagement, otherwise known as the CLCE. In our office, we train, educate, and develop our USF community members to be effective, ethical, and positively engaged leaders among the global community. In other words, through our trainings, programs, and initiatives, and even more, we contribute to your overall toolkit or tool belt that you'll use at not just USF, but beyond your time here. So to the right in the visual, you can see our 4 functional areas that we touch on. So leadership development being what I work with, civic engagement, student organizations, and employment opportunities as listed there. But today we're going to chat a little bit more about the student orgs piece. Student organizations, what are the benefits of involvement? So the first one that we're going to touch on is the opportunity to meet like-minded people with same interests and values. These things are constantly changing, and they're bound to change even more throughout your time and involvement at USF. So we're always encouraging folks to be reflecting on their interests and values. But student organizations are a great space for that opportunity to exist. The second piece is this would be a chance to expand your views and experiences. Being around other folks and getting to learn and grow through interactions is just one of the many ways in which you can contribute to your wonderful time at USF, and student orgs are a great chance to do that. You're more likely to be successful as a student. So metrics and assessment do show that being involved with student organization does result in a higher GPA than if you were to not be involved with them. It also leans into this concept of graduating on time, so within the 4 years that most folks spend at university. And then the third piece is that there is a correlation with higher internship and job placements. Student organizations are an extension of your network. The more people you get to meet, the more opportunities are on the other end of those connections. And the last piece that I want to mention is this feeling of a sense of belonging and connection to the community. New student connections and the PALs are just one piece of what USF has to offer, but student organizations are another. And again, this is a chance for you all to find your community within a larger community that is there and ready to embrace you. So I want to open the floor before we get into our presentation further and ask, what types of organizations are you looking to get involved in?
Honestly, for myself, I haven't looked at many organizations yet, so just kind of like to get a broad understanding about what USF has to offer.
Awesome, thank you.
Our friend Maria in the chat says they're interested in community service organizations, and Amy says mental health and volunteering organizations.
Awesome, great. Well, keep on if you think about any other things that interest you utilizing the chat, but we will move forward in the presentation and talk a little bit about how you can go about finding organizations that match your interests, both personal and professional. And even if you're not quite sure what that looks like right now, the student engagement platform that we're about to chat about will be a great way to find those things. So the big question on all of our minds, I'm sure, what is BullsConnect? So BullsConnect is a student engagement platform where you can find student orgs, departments, and community partners that all exist in one space to help you experience more. In this platform, you'll have the opportunity to connect with all of these spaces as well as fellow Bulls through opportunities, chat and feed features, as well as events. There are both virtual and in-person events advertised in this platform from all 3 campuses. So not just the one that you call your home campus, but all 3. And the opportunity to engage with BullsConnect is really easy in that there is a web feature that you can use a URL that I'll show you in one of the next slides with, but also there is a app both found in the Apple Store as well as Google Play. It's really user-friendly and almost as good, if not better, than the web version. So BullsConnect. We'll talk a little bit about how to find an organization as well as some other features that come with that. So you can use organization search. We'll go ahead and show you what BullsConnect's homepage looks like in just a moment, but I wanted to go ahead and throw out some things that you'll see right away. So the opportunity to search and find organization, you can do this by either using categories or keywords or names if you know that much. But the neat thing is that if you just know you're interested in, let's say, video games or animals, you can type in just those words and you'll see all of the organizations, that populate that have to also do with those keywords. In that organization search, you'll also be able to see more information like descriptions and meeting times, and even the opportunity to send a message to show your interest or even go so far as joining a group. You'll also be able to see event listings. Again, these things will be advertised for all 3 campuses. And you'll see events front and center, but there are also ways to search through all of the events that are offered. There's also forms and surveys for you to explore and more, but I don't want to get too far down the rabbit hole, and I will go ahead and show you what BullsConnect looks like. So we're going to break the fourth wall and leave the presentation for a moment. And we'll go ahead and click on BullsConnect. So I'm not sure if you can see the screen, but what we'll do, go ahead. Okay, can everyone see welcome to campus groups, BullsConnect?
Yes.
Awesome. So this is what your homepage would look like. You will do this, or you will go to that link that I'll go ahead and show you again in a moment, and you'll sign in just using your USF credentials. So the same thing that you use to log into Microsoft Teams or Outlook or Canvas, so on and so forth, everything USF, including BullsConnect, you just use your USF credentials. So here are some of the upcoming events that I had told you about before, as well as the opportunity to search for groups exists right here. We'll go ahead and go back to the presentation. Okay, and now we're back. It's a little bit about that first glance that you'll see when you get into BullsConnect. And it can seem like a lot, but the good news is once you get there, everything is right at your disposal. So feel free to take your time with the platform. We encourage you all to get engaged with this as early as you can because there's so much to explore in it. But first and foremost, finding things that interest you, using that organization search, and just getting familiar with what all is out there. So talking a little bit more about that organization search. There's a lot. There's well over 1,000 organizations across all 3 campuses combined, meaning that there's a lot out there for you to look through. And for a lot of us, we don't necessarily have the ability to do that. So here are some tips on how to narrow your organization search. The first is determining what you are interested in and what you value. Like I stated at the beginning of the presentation, this is constantly changing and evolving the more time that you spend in the space. So go ahead and just utilize that search bar, type in things that you're interested in, or just click around, or even use word of mouth. Lean into your pals. They have plenty of experience to help you inform your first few goes at interacting with new folks at USF. I'm sure that they'd be a wonderful and reliable resource. Also asking yourself, how can you deepen your understanding of your identities? There are so many things that make you you. And so are there spaces in organizations and clubs that can help you lean into that a little bit more or that you find interest in? And not just that, but leaning into that finding of community that we talked about. A lot of that can come from deepening your understanding of your identities. The next piece is understanding your level of commitment. So how much time can you devote to involvement? That being said, every organization and their degree of involvement is different. So what one organization may want from their general members may look very different than what another organization may want from their general members. So have a good sense of what this looks like for you and what your time and capacity looks like for you before you jump into anything too deep. But at the same time, go ahead and extend questions or inquiries to the organization so you can find out a little bit more about how that can work for your schedule. The next question to ask yourself, just simply what type of experiences are you looking for? Are you looking for professional opportunities? Are you looking for friends? Are you looking for just one chance to rip the Band-Aid off and start interacting with a brand new space? Or maybe it's a mixture of all of those things. But whatever it is, ask yourself what type of experiences are you looking for? The next piece, are there opportunities to step outside of your comfort zone? As the statement says, this can be uncomfy. But again, there are all of these folks and all of these organizations that are ready to embrace people with open arms. And so if there's an opportunity for you to do so, maybe challenging yourself to step outside of your comfort zone. And sometimes that can, again, start with just one person. So asking one of your pals that you already know, or going to the organization and community partner fair, which I will talk about in just a moment, with a friend, but anything that can allow you to do that. And the last piece, what communities might you already be a part of that you don't realize can be a great segue into organization space? So being in this space that NSC is hosting and knowing your pals, again, I've mentioned them a couple times, but this is a great space to start, and you're already doing so just by being in this session. So we thank you for that and also challenge you to do even more with that engagement. Does anybody have any questions so far before I move on? Okay, we will go ahead. So a little bit about organization types at USF. You'll see this more as you explore and navigate the BullsConnect platform. Some organizations will have this listed with their organization type, but here's just a list of all the different org types at USF. So we have academic, pre-professional, fraternities and sororities, interfaith, religious, spiritual, political, diversity, multicultural, recreational, performing, service or philanthropy, special interest, or sports clubs. Sometimes there will be a couple of tags on an organization, but for the most part, this is also a way to explore organizations. So I know that someone earlier, I believe it was Maria, mentioned being involved in service. You can go ahead and look at this specific type in the search bar, whether you do that yourself or we'll show in a moment what tags look like. And you can find all organizations that identify and have been filtered by service and any of these other organization types. So next we'll talk about the exploring groups by tag. So when you get into the BullsConnect platform and you go to the groups bar, actually I believe you can see it right here, and you would have been able to see that on my screen when I shared it before as well. It'll take you to this page, and here you can use that group category drop-down list and filter your interest areas. And so each organization is categorized accordingly and will be able to filter to present the most accurate involvement opportunities based off of whatever filters or category types that you used. Once you've done all this exploring, all this researching, all this finding, or really just clicking around and finding out more about the platform and the organizations in the space, you can even go so far as to join an organization while you're clicking around. So to do this, you'll click on the organization that you see, and it'll take you to a page that looks like this, and you'll have the opportunity to just join by clicking a blue checkbox right next to the name. And by joining, it adds you to the organization's roster as a member and gives you the opportunity to get updates on all events and communications from the group. So upcoming meetings or opportunities for involvement. Some groups do just hangout meetings. Let's get to know each other. And you'll get all of those updates just by simply joining an organization. It'll be like following them, if you will, on social media. And if there isn't an organization that necessarily speaks to you right away, you do have the opportunity to start an organization. So to do this, step-by-step process is listed out right in front of you. You'll be able to gather 5 members, and by doing this, you'll have already solidified yourself in a group. And then the next step would be to secure faculty or staff as your advisor. All student organizations on our campus, the registered USF organizations, must have a faculty or staff advisor. So doing that before you move into the next step, which would be to develop your constitution and bylaws. The next step would then be to complete your request on BullsConnect and then attend a new organization meeting put on by our coordinator of student organization development. A lot of this can look daunting. Have no fear. We do have resources in the CLCE that do help along with these processes. So for example, developing constitution and bylaws can sound really, really intense. There's a wonderful resource located in BullsConnect in a student organization workspace that you'll be able to find actually at the bottom of the homepage that takes you to a constitution template. That's one USF certified and everything. And then the completing your request on BullsConnect is also a very user-friendly process that you'll be able to do by finding prompts or reaching out to us. We are more than happy to be there and help you along this process. And the very last tip that we have for getting involved with student organizations here at USF is by attending BullsConnect Live. BullsConnect Live is going to be this Thursday, July 15th. And it'll be an all-day event in which we are introducing this rollout of our new student engagement platform. There will be a chance to meet organizations and departments and community partners. But more specifically, I'm going to talk about this 11 a.m. to 1 p.m. slot. We are hosting our organization and community partner fair as a part of BullsConnect Live in the Marshall Student Center ballrooms. And so in this space, you'll have the opportunity, like I said, to meet all of these organizations who are there, ready to share information and even sign you up if you would like to. But for the most part, it'll just be a chance to meet some fellow Bulls and find different opportunities to get involved and learn more about your new home. If you do choose to attend the organization and community partner fair, which we do encourage, here are just some tips, because again, it can be a new and somewhat daunting experience for some. Just showing up as yourself, be ready to have conversations, meet new people, and ask questions. And there will be plenty of opportunities to chat with folks both one-on-one and in groups, so it really is a space for all. Doing some research beforehand on organizations you may want to meet is also a really helpful tip. And lucky for us, we just got oriented to this new BullsConnect platform, and that's a wonderful resource for getting to know organizations, as well as finding some of the social media links that organizations have put in their BullsConnect page so you can find out even more information. The next is to be sure to ask about upcoming meetings. If you even have a remote interest in what an organization is about or what they're doing beyond just your interaction at the fair, ask them about their upcoming meetings. A lot of the meetings in the beginning are general member, getting to know you spaces, and it'll be a really wonderful opportunity to learn more about what the organization does when they're not just giving you their overview. The next step would be to ask to join their roster to stay updated. Again, we showed you a way to do that in the BullsConnect platform, but if you're not quite sure, you don't get the chance to do that prior to Thursday, it'll be a great chance to do so. And then the last piece, be acquainted with BullsConnect before you come. Like we shared earlier, there is both a web version as well as a downloadable app for any smartphone device. And it'll be a really great way to get updates, see what's going on, join events that are happening even outside of that organization fair space. And I'll go ahead and give you a hint, there are plenty of QR codes to scan in that space, and having the app on your phone is going to make everything easy, 1, 2, 3. So go ahead, take a screenshot or a picture, if you will, if you're a visual person like me and all of this talking doesn't necessarily stick the first go around, but these are just some of our helpful tips for attending. So that is all I have for you today as far as student organizations go. And so we've gotten to chat a little bit about the BullsConnect platform, about getting involved, a little bit about the CLCE, and a bunch more fun and hopefully useful information. I know we're gonna go through some Q&A time, but if you have any other questions, please do let me know.
That was awesome, Alex. Thank you. Just for me personally, also just to throw in my own personal experience in there, joining student organizations was really helpful for me to branch out of my comfort zone, because since I started in the middle of COVID and after this crazy year we've all had, I was God, it's really hard to make new friends, and it's really hard to meet people who have similar interests. And so I joined 2 student organizations, but those baby steps really paid off because I made some really great friends, and it was a really good experience for me, just because sometimes I'm not great at talking to people. So definitely joining clubs where there are people who have similar interests as you, it gives you something to talk about, and it lets you make friends, and it was a really good experience for me. So yeah, that was just me throwing in my own 2 cents on all of this. But BullsConnect is a really cool platform, and it's really easy to use, and it was a really great way to find things you're interested in. So yeah.
I have a quick question regarding the app. So I was downloading it and I was trying to sign in with my USF email and everything, but it's telling me that I don't have, first it tells me I don't have access to the app, and then when I click to sign up, it tells me that since I haven't joined an organization, I have to be approved by one group or something like that. It won't let me log in and let me look at the groups. So would it be easier to go on the web browser, or do you know what's going on with the app?
So I am professionally technologically challenged, which means I run into these types of issues all the time. So my first piece of advice for you would be go ahead and try it in the web browser. When all else fails, that'll usually do the trick. And if it's still showing an issue with your credentials, don't worry, it's not you. It's just because this really is a brand new platform to USF. So all that'll take is a quick email to the BullsConnect email that they gave you, as well as what we'll leave here with you today. And that'll be an easy fix. It's just a matter of transferring all these students into the system.
Okay, awesome. Thank you so much.
No problem.
So does anyone else have any questions? Because then we do have a few like frequently asked questions that we could get into related to these topics, and then we're going to end the recording. So if you have any questions, feel free to drop them in the chat, and we'll answer them as they come in. But first, we're going to just start off with some like predetermined FAQs. So the first question we have here is, where can I find student organizations?
So student organizations from all 3 USF campuses can be found on our student engagement platform that we just introduced, BullsConnect. So many organizations also link out social media pages, as I had mentioned before. So this is where you can find like Instagram or Facebook, which seem to be the most common that most orgs hold, but any social media that they could have, more than likely they've linked in there as well. So once you browse the BullsConnect pages of organizations you're interested in, be sure to check them out on the social media as well.
Great. The next question is, will meetings be held in person this year for organizations?
So many orgs at USF are making the exciting transition back to in-person meetings. However, there are some organizations that found that remote meetings just work really well for their teams. So be sure to contact the organization's president or communications person if they designated that, or look on their About page on BullsConnect to see their meeting details. And at the organization fair, that'll be a great space to ask them as well, because sometimes these things are changing daily.
Our next one is, how can I manage my time effectively with an organization and classes?
The time management will always be something we're working on. I'm realizing that. So involvement in college does look a lot different than involvement did in high school, if that's where you're coming from. In high school, you may have been involved in several organizations, whereas in college, you'll have more on your plate and less time to be involved. So be sure you can balance organization involvement and schoolwork. It's important to ask about time commitments for organizations and focus your energy on making the most out of a few clubs that you decide to join rather than getting involved in too many or any and everything that piques your interest, which I know can be tricky, but that's part of the helpful tip. In college, quality of your involvement is way more important than the quantity of organizations that you're a part of. So be sure to prioritize, ask the right questions to org leaders, which we can help you with as well if you're not quite sure what the right question is, and utilize planning tools to stay on top of everything. So whether that's agendas or color coding your calendar, or asking again somebody that you trust that seems to have some time management skills in their tool belt. Those are some resources that we suggest.
Something that's helped me personally as like a student is using Google Calendar and like putting recurring club meetings like in my calendar, or any like events that clubs have too, especially volunteer events, just because like with classes and setting aside time to like work on homework, it can slip my mind. So that's like a good tool that you can use for clubs. The next frequently asked question we have is, are there any organizations that can help me in my future career?
Mm-hmm. So we have hundreds of academic organizations on campus that can help build outside of the classroom connection to your major or future career interests. So all organizations do provide opportunities to better develop your skills as a leader. So that's a given. And take some time to focus on developing transferable skills that'll connect to any career field. So public speaking, experience leading a team, social media skills, or opportunities to further network. I had mentioned building a network earlier too. So organization involvement isn't always about what looks good on a resume. It is about being able to take on new experiences that'll help you in the future, and meaning making. So you'll have the opportunity to make meaning of your experiences as you go, and utilizing other offices on campus like ours or career services to figure out how to wordsmith that in a resume is really, really helpful. But also leaning back on a tip that I had mentioned a little earlier too, it's about the quality of your involvement, not just quantity. So when you think about, let's say, your life in a resume, what did you really get involved in, not just were a part of, if that makes sense. And even if you're only able to be a general member and you don't have a positional title, that doesn't take away from your ability to be a leader and have those transferable skills and showcase that when you're talking about yourself, either in a professional setting or through your resume.
And our last predetermined FAQ is, are there any upcoming organization fairs this semester?
So I will take this opportunity to go ahead and plug BullsConnect Live again. So this semester we are holding an involvement fair during BullsConnect Live in the Marshall Student Center Ballroom this week, this Thursday on July 15th from 11 a.m. to 1 p.m. This will be where you can connect with student orgs, departments, and community partners who offer volunteer opportunities. This will also be a great chance to talk to organization leaders in person and ask them a little bit more about what it is that they do, what it is that they're hoping for, and you'll have the opportunity to learn more about what you're hoping to join. So additionally, we'll also hold a fall involvement fair on September 15th, which will give you another chance to make connections.
Thanks for your questions and for engaging with us. Alex, do you have any key takeaways or final thoughts before we wrap up tonight by ending the recording and getting to the other questions?
The only things that I can mention is thank you so much for coming to this session. This is one step into the uncomfy that I mentioned, and usually the hardest thing is just putting yourself out there. And so the Marshall Student Center is always full of people moving around, making connections and talking, and just being around one another. And so if you find it in your schedule or in yourself to come through the involvement fair just to see what it's about, we would be really, really grateful just to see some faces and connect with you all. And just so you know, again, the CLCE Center for Leadership and Civic Engagement is a resource that's with you throughout your entire time, as well as these other offices that you've gotten to meet or hear about through these How to College sessions. And so we encourage you all to continue connecting with us outside of just this How to College space, outside of just the organization fair space. But at least you know how to connect with us via BullsConnect now. So we hope to see you around.
Thank you, Alex. Before I end the recording, I just want to share out some ways to keep up with the CLCE. So a general email for you to reference is orgs@usf.edu. That's orgs@usf.edu for any kind of like general questions, getting involved, all of that good stuff. And then for BullsConnect specific questions, you can reach them at BullsConnect, BullsConnect @usf.edu. So that's for specific BullsConnect issues, questions, and like Alex said, if you're having trouble with your credentials, especially, which I would imagine some folks will experience as BullsConnect gets off the ground and gets going, just shoot them an email. They'll be happy to address that issue, like Alex said. And then to stay connected with us here at New Student Connections, you can find us at BullsConnect Live on Thursday afternoon because we'll be tabling there. You can also follow us on Instagram at USF_NSC. That's probably the best place to keep up with us, stay up to date with what events we have coming up, ways to connect with the pals, all of that good stuff. Or you can email us at newstudent@usf.edu. And then we hope to see you at our next How to College chat that will be on Instagram Live this coming Monday, July 19th at 7 p.m. with some folks from the Center for Student Wellbeing. So get pumped for that. Okay, now I'm going to end the recording.